Crowd, but when I find you in the street and you're by yourself, if you make the wrong move, I'ma stop you well. You walk up in the club like you run the town. You talk a big game when you got a crowd, but when I find you in the street and you're by yourself, if you make the wrong move, I'ma stop you well.
All right. It is that time. Thank you all for joining this stream. We have the NGS Division B Northeast Finals replay. I will be your host. My name is Feljoth. I'm joined today by BroomBoy. BroomBoy, thank you so much for jumping on and co-casting this with me.
No problem. Looking forward to seeing some of these games as a former Div B member myself, and having known and played against some of these players. Should be a good one.
Yeah, we've both been in Div B before. I don't think at the same time. There was one point where my team was in the Div B finals and we couldn't pull it off. So this team, well, Div B's kind of expanded out of control at this point. We've got Div B Northeast, Southeast, and then Div B West. So tomorrow is the Div B East Grand Finals, which I'll be casting at 9 p.m. Eastern, along with yourself. You're going to join in and co-cast for that as well. And so the teams reached out and said, hey, can we do a replay cast of this? Let's do some analysis and look at both teams. And we wanted to get that in ahead of tomorrow night's cast. So here we are. Jumping into this first, this is a best of 5 because it is a finals tournament bracket. We had some bands come out from Wholesome Halfwits. I'll go through those first, and then you can tackle Smokes. Wholesome Halfwits banned out Sky Temple and Dragonshire. Those are both, good bands. Macro maps, more typically. They also are maps that require the team to split their team members across multiple points. Dragonshire, you have to capture obviously the top and bottom shrines before you can actually cap the dragon in the mid. And then Sky Temple, you're often split across multiple objectives as you're kind of playing with the mathematics game that is structures on that map. So they probably just didn't want to deal with it, or they could have been banning towards some areas that Smoke is especially competent.
Yeah, and Smoke, on the other hand, banned Infernal Shrines and Tomb. Those tend to be kind of close quarters, more teamfight 5v5 brawly maps. I'm not sure off the top of my head how the Halfwits have performed on those specifically, but that to me kind of tips the hand in them wanting to maybe go a more macro style, which Wholesome Halfwits may have identified, but it'll be interesting to see how this plays out.
Yeah, I always like to see an Infernal Shrines ban because that's by far and large the most popular map for NGS as a whole. So seeing that that banned out kind of says, all right, let's play in some of the lesser known parts and just start out by not having people where they're used to being. All right.
Spice.
Yeah, let's get some spiciness. We're gonna start this first replay, game one. Wholesome Halfwits took Smoke to Volskaya Foundry. Wholesome Halfwits chose this first map, and in a best of 5 tournament series, you really are, and 4 map bans being taken out, you're going to play almost all the maps. So, and if it goes to best of 5, you will play all of the remaining maps. So it's kind of which one we want to tackle first. There's a little bit of a strategy here, I think, where you're trying to decide, is there value in, picking 2 that we can win right away on, and then maybe get them, on the back foot to try to win 3 right in a row.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Volskaya, this being kind of a more 5v5 team fighting map, but some teams actually forgo the objective, especially at the higher levels of play, noting that the robot itself isn't the biggest damage dealer.
Totally. All right, so for introductions, I'll start with the blue team. We have Dr. C. Jelly on Johanna. We have Malaviel playing the Malfurion. We have Sylvanas with Crooked Smile playing that. TKST Tanksta on Leoric, and Tassadar playing by G Money Drums.
Bishop Nader on the Anub, Psycho on Gazlo, Killua on Ming, Prof Dingle on Vala, and Xeno on Lucio.
Yep. So looking a little bit about drafts as this initial fight just kind of breaks out. Obviously, a Sylvanas pick up on the side of Wholesome Halfwits. They immediately started by trying to get a little bit of some tower weakened in the top lane. The other alternative is they could have tried to weaken bottom lane a little bit. I like weakening the top towers here because your objective with that first protector, if you're able to get it, will be to hit that fort there, or that well down, so that kind of helps along that path. Sleep coming out from the Malfurion, that's going to actually hit a couple. Johanna almost going down, literally just a couple health, and then in the return, going to get down many members of Smoke down to very little. Tassadar tries to get that final kill, but isn't able to actually land it.
Yeah, it looks to me actually kind of counter to what I was saying, that Smoke is looking for a kind of all-in, heavy damage, heavy burst, one-shot comp. And Malf, as a healer, how do you think he pairs into that?
I don't feel... I feel like if they're able to sustain the initial burst, like not, whether that's Johanna taking the damage and using her shield, or, Leo tanking it a little bit, then Malfurion will do well. Malfurion does well in like sustained team fights that last quite a while, and that's kind of how his healing is generated. I think he's going to suffer quite a bit into Li Ming and to, Gaz and Vala, if the Smoke team is going to be able to land consistently those burst damage hits. However, the sleep roots, getting some value. He's hit, Lucio multiple times so far.
Yeah, especially with the Anub diving in. As a tank player myself, I can sympathize. Anub, after he uses his E, is extremely vulnerable.
Yeah.
So that could be something to look out for.
Yeah, I would definitely say that if you're looking at engage potential, a little bit of an invade on this camp for blue team going into red. Lucio's very low, ends up going down with the Tassadar Q. Looks like Li Ming's trying to get the resets, doesn't quite get it on Leoric, and Nubarak does end up going down along with that Lucio, and just weren't quite able to get Li Ming those resets in order to turn that around for them.
Yeah, that was a tough one. It looked like Anub was trying to start the top camp, and Wholesome Halfwits had a pretty good read on it and invaded as a team, and were able to get some picks and force them to use the turret.
Yeah, I there is a lane being pushed out here. Leo's going to catch that soak. With Wholesome Halfwits trying to just get some initial percentage on this Protector and then put the weight on Smokes. However, they are able to get level 7 and be almost a full talent tier above, or exactly a full talent tier above Smoke. And that's going to probably give them this first Protector for free unless they're able to find some way to split Wholesome Halfwits, like with this pressure the top camp's been pushing out.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they can soak it in time. It looks like they're sending a couple members top to deal with that, so that might open a window for them to find a pick and maybe get back on this point.
Yeah, I would have liked to see Smoke, as soon as they notice players top, kind of go in and invade this point, force blue off of it, and at least stop the percentage from channeling. Now they're having to fight with just getting 7s for their lives as they try to get this going down. There's going to be a stun going out on Tassadar and on Sylvanas from the Gazlo. Vala is super separated in the top lane. The root ends up landing really well and ends up in the pick there. Once again, stuns keep coming out. Anubrak's trying to hold on and get some value there. However, they're quickly outnumbered. Leo going down as Li Ming chases that. Yeah.
He's able to get a couple picks herself. Looking for another reset here.
Dive goes on Lucio. He's going, Gazlo having to back out. These teams are so low. Lucio is kind of in his sweet spot here, sustain healing. If he can just like wait, his heal comes out again. Looks like this is going to be the first Protector over to Wholesome Halfwits.
Who would you ideally like to see being put in this Protector?
I wouldn't put Sylvanas in it, that's for sure. I'd try to play Black Arrows with the Protector, or on the other hand, I might try to put 2 people in Protector and have Sylvanas, which it looks like they're swapping out right now, which makes sense. Heading bottom with the Leo and like pressuring that fort once again, splitting the team of. I'll look to dive out on Sylvanas as Sylvanas gets very low. Ooh, the sleep root along with the push on the Protector is just enough. Vala is in position, though, to potentially try to push. And, 45 health is what it ends up going down to. Vala is now in a very bad position, ends up going down from the Protector, just putting a little bit too much pressure. That was a really unfortunate series of events because Smoke was, so close to getting those final kill secures.
Yeah, absolutely, and that would allow Li Ming to pop off a little bit, maybe get some more damage into the backline or the Protector. But it looks like Wholesome Halfwits are going to get the front wall and the fountain.
Priority rotate from the Leo. They want to take the fort now that they have 10s. He is going to rotate in. It's going to miss the Entomb just slightly as they try to get value here. But with Black Arrows already being used, they're getting targeted, especially this Johanna by the fort. Johanna's getting targeted big time. That's going to be a dead Johanna. Big black hole ends up with a return kill on the Lucio, but Li Ming's able to pick off the Tassadar instead. Dive goes out on the Leo, but he moves away. That's actually just enough damage though to secure the kill on the Anubarak from the Sylvanas. So quite a back and forth there.
Yeah, that was nuts. Just looking at some talents here, it looks like Sylvanas went with the W build at 1. What does that kind of mean in terms of her playstyle? What is she looking for? How does that differ from some of the other ones?
I'd say W build is probably the least popular. I'd say E build. Is that E build or W build? I think you're right. The stacking build on the W is by far her least popular. But on this map, they're understanding that they're going late. Vala is infinite stacking, so it probably gives them a little bit of scalability that matches with Smoke's. She's going to end up teleporting out there as they look for a potential skirmish. I think that the biggest thing here is the surprising me is Lucio is an AoE sustain healer, so that's going to be where you see that damage countered the most. I may have liked to see maybe that auto attack build, giving some extra burst. Mind control comes out, misses on the Vala. Going into the Anubarak once he dives in to just kind of follow up the mind control that she ended up picking and doing some extra damage on that tank burn following dives. I'll go ahead and give the blue team ultimates, and then you'll tackle the red. We've got Blessed Shield coming out from Johanna, Twilight Dream coming out from Malfurion, Mind Control coming out from Sylvanas, Entomb from Leoric, Black Hole on the Tassadar.
We got Wave of Force on the Ming, Grab Bomb on Gazlo, High Five on Lucio, a noob with the Cocoon, and Strafe on the Vala.
Yeah, a little bit of an aggressive rotate here. Once again, Smoke staying as 5, probably sacrificing a little bit of soak to this Leo, just trying to secure those kills. However, Johanna is not a good dive target, and Tomb coming out not hitting anyone. Especially if you haven't like called out that she's already burned her her unstoppable.
Yeah, she is a tough one to catch, and I almost think Smoke needs to change how they're approaching these fights, because Anub is diving in, but really can only get some of those tanky frontline.
Mind control comes out on the Anubarak. Lucio tries to dive in and save him, but the black hole's enough to catch Lucio as well and end up in a double kill and a heal totem pickup from the side of Wholesome Halfwits.
Yeah, that was big.
Yeah. This high 5 going in to try to save people is going to be a little bit rough. High 5 only provides the unstoppable onto Lucio once he's connected with the high 5 target. So if the roots are in the right spot, he will get caught on the root trying to high 5 the person that has been rooted, unless the positioning is just right. And as we noticed with Black Hole there, he got interrupted from Black Hole trying to unstoppable the mind control. Another mind control coming out, securing the kill on the Gazlo. Just a great pickup tool there. Dive comes out from the Anubarak, a little bit confused. There's not much follow-up there. Ends up immediately going down with a follow-up on the root and the Entomb.
It kind of goes to just what I was about to say, which is the Halfwits are doing a really good job of landing these basic ability combos, where Johanna is engaging, slowing, we're getting good root follow-ups, and there are other engaged tools off of the mind control and the mind control and Entomb.
Yeah.
They've been doing a great job actually following those up and getting kills.
A lot of soak here being missed by Smokes. They're going to pick it up, but they're going to have lost 25% of that soak's value in the delay. Trying to bridge this XP gap that we still see here, where Wholesome Halfwits is now about a level and a half ahead of Smoke. They did end up leaving this, a little bit of miscommunication here on the Cherry camp. And then a completely uncontested Protector with that 16 talent tier advantage.
Yeah,
now,
it's pretty rough.
Do you think they, they're choosing to tackle a fort here? They could have gone for a keep as well. Like, which one do you think would have worked there?
I think realistically, they probably could have gone with either with their talent tier up. This is definitely the much more safer approach, especially since they're cycling numbers in and out. Yeah. This would give them more map control overall, but it would be nice to have that continuous cata pressure, obviously.
One thing I will say is with talent tiers up at 16, one of the dangers with Protectors, which we actually just saw here in this fight, even though no one died, it looks like Anubarak could get the reverse dive with the root landing and the slip going out. That's a lot of damage going, and the Twilight Dream for the Malfurion, but it's not going to be enough to catch any players as the fight gets disengaged. With a Sylvanas, you could have put 2 in the Protector, had been up 16, pushed maybe that top keep here, and then either cycled the 3-man to the fort or to the bottom fort, the mid fort or bottom fort, and then backed off the 3-man if they decide to defend there, back off the Protector if they decide to defend there, but get value, guaranteed value either way. They did end up capturing the fort, but I always want to see like that maximum value out of the objectives. When you have an advantage, how are you maximizing it to its fullest potential?
Absolutely. I think with the lead they built up, they're probably playing it a bit safe, but it's worked for them so far, and let's see how it goes from here.
Now, 16's okay, mind control goes out, and it misses. The unstoppable goes out and lands on the Gazlo from the Lucio. With the same talent tiers, 16, we see this kind of like flank play from the Ming, which is good. There's a lot of great value, except it splits you from the team. So much going out on the Gazlo, the Root, and the Black Hole. That's just going to be enough to secure that kill. Johanna getting that mega slow on the team. Strafe going out from the Vala, and a lot of damage being pumped out. Looks like this will be the disengage that Smokes needs at this point.
Yeah, meanwhile, bottom looks like Leo picked up a fort himself, so they are skyrocketing up 2 levels ahead now.
Being able to defend that 5-man as a 4-man when they were engaging into their fort was just provided them a lot of extra value on the macro side, getting that bottom forward. I think so. Smoke's looking for ways to try to get back into this game. They're obviously at a structured deficit. And Tomb goes out, misses the Li Ming. She's normally not the target that's going to get a lot of successful value. A lot of damage goes out on the Tassadar. Lucio's here and Nubrax here also to follow up. He gets rooted quite immediately along with the sleep, but he's probably got his burrow still. Unstoppable comes out from the Lucio. Burrow goes out, and it tries to hit the Leo, but it's just too much damage in the follow-up. Leo ends up definitely going down, but the Black Hole going out, that's probably going to be the disengage. Back to my point, though, I feel like they're looking for a way to engage here. They need to find a way to offset Wholesome Halfwits team and provide some kind of fight that gives them an advantage or take an even fight. And so far, they haven't been able to do either one of those things.
Yeah, and kind of how we thought in the beginning, the Halfwits are kind of fighting front to back, and they've been able to successfully root and shield and blow up this Anub despite all that spell armor. It's a tough team to run into, honestly.
Yeah, I might, it's hard to structure this, but taking times when you see like this Sylvanas is position mid, the rest of the team is bottom, even though they have 20s, you're trying to look for something that goes out. Grab Bomb does go out trying to get the bottom team with the slow on the wall and the Entomb and the Black Hole. That's just enough to secure so much damage. That's going to be Lucio and Gazla going down, and the rest of Smoke's just running away. Mind Control goes out. It does end up missing as they try to secure an extra kill, but that's just going to be pushing into a keep. Black Arrows is definitely going to be up, so I imagine they're just looking to get some structure value here in addition based off those 2 kills.
Here it is. They're sieging into this bot keep with the Black Arrows as well as the empowered turret here, so they're definitely wanting that to go down.
Yeah, great walls here from the Tassadar. The slow is just providing a lot of extra control, even though there's a lot of mobility on the side of Smokes. Are they pushing in for win here? Tassadar, Li Ming going for so much damage and doesn't end up securing, even though Tassadar gets very low. Oh my gosh, the Silence and Tomb, that's going to end up in a triple kill just as Lucio and Gazla are coming up. That's so frustrating for Smokes, I'm sure, because they were so close to being able to defend as a 5-man. However, this is going to be game 1 going over to Wholesome Halfwits.
That was an incredible push there at the end. As I was kind of alluding to earlier, they're doing such a fantastic job of landing these basic ability as well as heroic combos and leading to a lot of kills with, I think, 18 going to the Halfwits.
Yeah, taking a look and doing kind of a summary overview of this game, this 18 kills to 5 really shows that, the story that you were just telling with, being able to structure the way fights happened and manage like a front to back burn that was really successful, starting with the Anubarak and then kind of pushing back there. We saw Anubarak, that story's kind of told in the deaths as well. So 6 deaths from Anubarak, he dives in, loses all of his mobility, and if they don't get the kill, then he ends up dying because of the way that the CC is structured for Wholesome Halfwits. That's followed by Lucio, who with a high 5 pickup is literally forcing his positioning to be mirroring that of the tank dive to try to save those targets that are getting picked. So he ends up with 2nd deaths at 5. They were most successful, Smoke was most successful in picking off Tassadar and Leo one time against Johanna, but that's kind of expected as the tank, but never really able to get to that Malfurion and the Sylvanas, who were able to pretty successfully just stay far enough back that they were never under the threat of the dive by the red team.
Yep, absolutely. I think they could have used the cocoon potentially to help them get onto that back line, but it was very chaotic and they were playing catch up a lot of the game. So the Halfwits did a good job of not giving them those opportunities.
Yeah. Looking at the talents real quick here before we move on into the next match of the series, we have Laws of Hope by the Johanna. That sort of makes sense to me, and I'd like to get your take on it as well. If this is a Volskaya Foundry, it's a pretty small 3-lane map, so you can rotate well. lots of camps to pick up to feed the globes as well. And then it's one that you kind of expect to go late game potentially. So that kind of stacking talent is probably pretty good here.
Yeah, Laws of Hope, definitely, unless you have a priority auto attack target, you are looking to blind. Vala, well, she does, clap, especially later, going for that W build, where a good chunk of her damage is going to be coming from that, as well as her Q. I think that makes sense with the damage we're seeing from Smoke.
Yeah, Vala going W build is probably the other main call out here. Burst, I'd say Vala's W build is kind of the safe sustain build, so I'm not surprised that that was the pickup. It potentially doesn't provide as much follow-up to the Anubarak dive, so if you went Q build, then that's kind of Vala's burst build. It's the most risky build for Vala because you're using your vault aggressively to get, or at least laterally to get another Q on the dive target. However, it might have helped a little bit in garnering more success with the Anubarak dive, which I think was what Smoke's comp was kind of centered around. It's, a win or lose, make or break based off of that play.
Yeah, I think so as well, especially when you're having a Li Ming paired with it. You're wanting to get those burst resets so she can pop off. But Killua, I thought, did a great job nonetheless. His flanks were awesome, and he also had a couple moments, especially early, where he's securing the resets towards the bottom of the objective.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so as we move from game one, the second map of the series was also picked up by Wholesome Halfwits. To me, that's, obviously with the way that the finals works, for those of you that don't know, finals matches are different from most other tournament matches. Most of the time, tournament matches are decided by who is the higher seed. They get to choose whether or not they choose map pick or first pick. And then once the first game has been played, the loser gets to choose map pick or first pick going forward. With finals, however, it's a coin toss between the two teams on who is map pick and who is first pick. We couldn't tell who chose what for game one. We knew that Wholesome Halfwits chose map pick for Volskaya. However, with that first game being lost by Smokes opted for first pick in game number 2, and Wholesome Halfwits took them to Towers of Doom. All right, so I'm going to pull up Towers of Doom here, and we'll get into this game really quickly. What would you consider to be the play style or the strategy of Towers of Doom for Smoke going into this game, especially after the results of game one?
I think definitely keeping up with the soak with a double soaker might be a good idea. And either you need a way to burn that front line or get to the back line. And I see a Stitches on their team, so I'm not at all surprised to see this being one of his best maps.
Yeah. I think Towers of Doom is an interesting match because it's something that has comeback potential at any point. The towers are infinitely recapturable, so it allows you to kind of get a big win late game and then maybe stabilize and at least have a chance to come back, no matter how unfortunate the loss of tower hits you've already taken is. All right, we're going to switch over into game number 2 here. Starting with the blue team, we have Dr. C. Jelly once again on the Johanna. We have Crooked Smile playing the Hanzo. We have G Money Drums playing the Jaina. TKS Tanksta playing the Blaze. And then finally, Malavial playing the Deckard Cain.
And Bishop Nader on Stitches, Killua on Tychus, Psycho on Leoric, Prof Dingle on Nazebo, and Xeno on Anduin.
Nice. Going for this obligatory mid-game or mid-map engage. Miss on the stun from the Blaze, but the root comes out, does land a few. Nothing really successful here. Hanzo does get hooked, but he immediately loops out with no follow-up CC. 3-man stun on the Blaze, and that's just going to be kind of a back and forth. As we settle into this initial series of events, what do you think about the drafts on both teams?
Yeah, it's clear to me that Smoke was maybe feeling the same with the Tychus pickup as well as the Stitches. They have the ability to delete the front line or get someone from the back line, especially paired with an Anduin for a Gorge pull target. And I think we're seeing a little bit more of the same from game one with the Halfwits, with a strong, heavy front line double tank, and then some amazing poke as well as burst damage from the Jaina. So uh, Halfwit's kind of replicating their playstyle, and I think Smoke is trying to adjust their playstyle and their engage style from game one.
Yeah, I would agree. I think the root follow-up on the Anduin is a great is a great follow-up to the Stitch's hook, along with the damage from the hook just missing on the Jaina there, along with the follow-up damage on the from the Tychus rather. It does look to me, and I'll have to see it a few more times to check, that Janna is waiting for Tychus to pop his trait before shooting out the blind. If so, that's a great thing to be able to watch for and to do that consistently. Really is a frustrating thing for Tychus, who's maybe on the other side of that coin, waiting for Johanna to throw her blind before using his trait.
Yeah, I am intrigued seeing this Nazebo, especially played in the 4-man.
Yeah.
He was busted at one point, but it looks to me like they want to bring this game a bit later. And here comes the Blaze, actually.
Yeah, rotating in for a 5v4 here. It's a lot of damage going on the Tychus. He does end up going down, so that was a successful rotate. Poke goes out on the Deckard, but he's just doesn't have enough follow-up to enable to secure that kill. Q build on the Nazebo, that makes a ton of sense. It's kind of his meta thing right now. Leo is able to get a little bit of a soak advantage, or at least push these waves in a little bit. Blaze is going to try to rotate right up immediately to get that soak captured back. He's going to get most of it, but lose kind of maybe half the waves, higher level of XP. And we're going to see probably a trade-off here on the top lane for objectives as the contest comes out from the bottom. I'd say the better poke definitely goes to the team with the Hanzo here, who has long range abilities and the ability to delay for quite a while these objectives. But the sustained damage advantage probably goes to Smoke. So if they're able to keep these fights going a long time, I do think their damage type is going to wear down Wholesome Halfwits over time.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting. I'm expecting an Odin, and that'll give them some poke, but as you kind of alluded to, the only real long-distance poke they have outside of Grenade is Hook, and maybe some slow bounces from Frogs, so I think that advantage might play out later.
Yeah, decent range on the Anduin heal to get a delay, but it's just with the Blaze, Fire, and then every one of Hanzo's abilities being a great delay. It's just as well with as Blind from Johanna. Okay, to invade here, looking at a 5v4 fight, but that zombie wall was just at the perfect time to make sure that they couldn't engage. Blaze does get caught from the root from the Deckard, and that's going to be enough damage. A lot of damage coming out from Tychus going out on the Blaze, but the root and the follow-up from the chain is going to be enough to slow them down. Leo does rotate in, and Hanzo's in trouble as he tries to get away. Ooh, just...
What a jump.
What a turnaround. I don't even know if he saw the Tychus, but just saving his life, deciding to hang out in that bush a second longer. Ends up staying though, and oh, sweet justice for the Tychus, who wanted that kill so bad and ended up securing it for himself.
Yeah, Hanzo was able to escape earlier with, I think it got down to 54 health, and did a cheeky little jump over the wall, baiting the Leoric in, but it looked like he finally got his just desserts later.
Yeah, Blaze using his mobility, but it ends up being Leo and Naz that get rotated a little bit. Hook just goes out and just misses. I'm really excited to see Fishing Hook here for this game number 2. Free cap for Smoke, while Crooked Smile also gets a free cap on the left. However, Smoke is up a full level lead with these kind of 5-man rotates that keep happening from Wholesome Halfwits.
Yeah, Leoric has been able to keep up with those double soaks, and although they've been able to secure some early picks and gathered momentum in the bot. It's not until, I believe, level 7 that a kill is equal to a wave of soak, so
Yeah.
they are able to actually get a small advantage.
Ironically, this is the same thing that Wholesome Halfwits did game 1, just making sure the Leo is on soaking and then trying to rotate the Gazlo up for the side of smoke to get those 5v4 engages. And they're getting about the same results, where we see a pretty strong level lead ahead for smoke versus Halfwits. They're going to push in on this wall. They see a lot of people mid. Leo's rotating safe to kind of catch that soak and maybe defend the wall a little bit. And this is a lot of focus coming out on this bottom fort. Now, they know they don't have 10s, but they're just kind of giving this for free and deciding, hey, we're going to get some value mid if possible to trade out for this fort you're going to get for free.
Yep, it is the Odin. We have Gorge, we have Entomb, Speak of the Devil, and Gary and Lightbomb.
Yep. All right. And on the other side, we have... well, let's look at this fight just for a second first. Ring goes out along with Sleep. Doesn't quite land on the Ring, but that is a lot of damage in setup. And then a ton of damage coming out from the Hanzo with the Dragon Strike, and he's going to get some damage. That's going to end up with Johanna going down, then Tychus, then Anduin, as the rest of the team just tries to disengage. Great hook going out on the Jaina, but there's no towers here to follow up all that damage. Spiders are quite a bit, but it's not going to be enough to secure the kill. Unfortunate. That was a great hook.
Yeah, he was able to get Joe, and without Falling Sword, or no, never mind, she went Falling Sword this time. She will be able to get out of the majority of those. It's going to be up to him to get some of these less mobile targets, and Deckard is really going to struggle in healing any of those Gorge targets.
Man, it's a shame. I would have wanted to see Smoke run at Wholesome Halfwits at this point. They don't have a fort to go down to. Jaina was completely stranded down bottom if they'd been able to get there in time. However, either through distraction or body blocking in the mid lane, kind of rotating down, they were not able to get there in time. Here comes a lot of CC and damage coming out. The pull goes out and ends up staying and keeping everything in the Dragon Strike. Leo does go down. However, Ring goes out and is going to hit Stitches. Lightbomb goes out to try to save him, but everyone just backs up. Ends up being Tychus. That's a little bit further. I think maybe that was an ally hook, but it wasn't procced as an ally hook. Maybe just missed. Tychus trying to get away, but getting so much damage and slows. They do end up giving just as they realize they don't have anywhere to go back to. And that will be Blaze and Hanzo going down for the Leoric. So definitely an advantageous series of events for Smoke.
Yeah, that was great. Despite Halfwits again showing they know how to land these heroic and basic ability combos, they were able to get some picks with the Odin, giving them some range to finish off that Hanzo and turn it around.
Yeah. With this bottom fort being captured for Smoke, I want to see these resources kind of devoted towards defending that. However, as they start to see Wholesome Halfwits commit to other areas, they will need to defend those as well. This is the point, though, where they've devoted too many resources away. Wholesome Halfwits is rotating down to take this fort back, and the resources are too far for Smoke to get there in time to, keep a lot of this tower from going down.
Yeah, Blaze being a big tanky boy with Bunker too, not the easiest offlaner to gank, but looks like Halfwits are able to reclaim and roll Blaze in early.
Lightbomb goes out, stun goes in on the Nazebo. A lot of damage there with the fire and the sleep, and it's just what a wombo of CC coming out from Wholesome Halfwits, and then really securing that damage and allowing that CC setup to enable the Jaina and the Dragon Strike from the Hanzo. And just in case I didn't mention it earlier, we do have a Falling Sword from the Johanna, we have Bunker Drop from the Blaze, we have Ring of Frost from the Jaina. Leo tries to get away, uses a Z, and it's just not enough. He's going to get tackled by a full 5-man rotate right there waiting for him. Stay a while and listen on the Deckard and Dragon Strike for the Hanzo.
Right for boss.
Yeah. I don't know if I like this. I think I would have preferred to see focus on that bottom fort. It gives you more value over the long term of the game, but they're just prioritizing straight up tower hits. Good hook on the Deckard. I don't know if he was expecting to get it because the Gorge didn't go out. He might have been able to reach his front wall with that.
Yeah, it's possible, especially if he had his Shambling Horror up to give him that little bit of extra speed.
Yeah.
It looks like Smoke actually got that bot fort you were talking about.
Yeah, but with the positioning and the lack of team, responsiveness, they are going to have Tychus and Anduin both go down in trade for that fort.
Yep. I think there's a stark philosophy difference actually in how this is playing out, where Wholesome Halfwits are bloodthirsty. They want those kills. They're rolling Blaze down a lot more, and I think knowing that, it would be nice to see a little bit more awareness and patience from the side of Smoke, because Leo's doing a good job of keeping him in this.
Yeah, I agree. Just enough damage to just whittle down that Leo over time. I think the reason Wholesome Halfwits is so successful, even though there's been better soaking and map pressure from Smoke, is that they're getting these kills right ahead of these objective caps. Gorge does go out, along with a lot of damage being trapped in that zombie wall under the protected area. Pull goes out, saves the Tychus. 74, 72 health, maybe even the 60s on the health for that Stitches. Leo's back up though, and he's doing damage on the... trying to keep them here. Great Entomb goes out. Sleep is going out as well. Ends up capturing the gazebo. He's not able to dodge it. Takes some damage, and that's going to be enough to potentially disengage them, even though Leo's right on their tail. He's running as fast as he can. Stitches is now here. He's looking for a target. Unstoppable goes out on the Johanna. Root comes out for zoning. Stitches hook hits the wall, and that's going to be all they wrote for that fight, as everyone disengages and decides they're going to go back to lanes. Except with Stitches here. He stepped forward to try to get this forward. I think he expected the Wholesome Halfwits to have to back, and they did not do that. Falling sword coming out from... oh, that's just enough. Along with the stun and the blaze. Tries to do the zombie wall catch and ends up catching himself with the slow. Anduin lasting a lot longer than I thought he would, but will end up going down along with the Stitches mid.
Yep. They had a small window there where they had a bit of an advantage on map, and it looks like they're trying to reclaim it by rolling people top. And we'll see if this Blaze can deal with it, or if he get ganked himself.
I think, it looks like they made a call. Bunker's going to go out as the Entomb catches the Blaze. He's going to sit in there for a while, not enough focus to really capture him. They are going to be able to get top fort, and not enough pressure able to be done bottom to kind of get a return cap. The story of this match is they continually good hook on the JNF and the Stitches. A lot of damage going out on the Nazebo though, just kind of due to positioning and being split. Ring's going to go out. It's going to catch 2 out of the 3 along with Falling Sword. Just going to do a lot of damage. And then the Dragon Strike is just so much paired with the Sleep and the Ring. And it's going to take a triple kill here. I don't think they needed to capture this. I think they could have gotten some structures before capping that with how many kills they just got late game.
Yeah, especially that bot fort, which is all important with those 2 sapper camps bottom.
Yeah.
Looks like they're turning their attention to it now, though.
Would have been a couple extra shots. If they'd waited and gotten that bottom fort down, they would have had Smoke at 5 hits rather than 6, which would have allowed a much easier path towards maybe these, getting top back, keeping bottom, and then maintaining a 5 tower hold versus a 3 tower hold for Smoke. However, with the current setup, they either have to get some sappers through to knock the numbers down, get 2 forts more here than what they currently have, or they're going to need 2 captures for the next objective phase rather than just 1, although next objective is only a single capture.
Yeah, at some point I think we're going to need to see a Stitches pick for them to get back in this, because these team fights, I mean, the Halfwits are doing a fantastic job of grouping them together, saving the hook and gorge target with Falling Sword, and then the Hanzo arrow is just shredding people on top of the ring.
Yeah, now they should expect to be engaged here. I think I want to see them backing up. This fort isn't activated yet, so it's not the protection you want it to be. They are just going to end up, Wholesome Halfwits is going to take this aggressive camp. Anduin rotates in, ends up seeing them just in time and backs away. Hook goes out from the Stitches. He ends up grabbing the Blaze, but the Blaze isn't the best target. Johanna rotates in aggressively. Blaze's bunker goes out along with the Root. That is enough to bait out the Dragon Strike. However, with 20s being picked up, we do see Dragon Strike cooldown reduction, which is going to give Hanzo that up really quickly. Johanna taking a lot of damage from the fort, ends up going down. That's a light bomb coming in on the Stitches, but not enough to catch anyone. Oh, no. But they do let the fort go through. However, Leo is able to capture mid just in time, so it was only 3 shots instead of 4. However, 3 shots is enough for a boss to be a win condition, for a sapper camp to be a win condition. Smoke doesn't care. They're just trying their best at this point to, 6 cap and force this advantage here. A lot of damage going down. Wholesome Halfwits just redirecting, saying, hey, let's stop this structure cap from happening if we can. Let's try to get mid back. I think it's probably just going to be that 1 shot off that comes out in favor of Smoke from that 6 cap, though.
Yeah, despite, really losing these team fights, their map pressure has done a great job, and it looks like they are taking boss off the map, which is one of those lethal conditions you were talking about.
Yep, I think boss is a great play here. And then they're focusing mid as well. This is a little bit dangerous. Both teams have 20. One team fight will be enough to end this game. However, with the Gary from the Nazebo, that's going to be a lot. Oh no, a little bit of miscommunication. A stun comes out, light bomb goes out. Level 20. Oh, Joe is just too much, and that's going to be a double kill for Wholesome Halfwits. Anduin tries to save him, but there's just too much there. And with objective coming up, that's GG, game 2 for Wholesome Halfwits.
Provided they take one of these back. There we go.
Yeah, that one was holding on by a thread. So, but good point though. They could have capped it and left one on the table.
I've seen some bad math.
Yep. Leo just going down right ahead of that as well. That definitely is game number 2. Not the cleanest game, I will say, but it ended up working out for Wholesome Halfwits, and with a pretty hefty lead ahead of Smoke. Let's look at the game summary for a second and just kind of talk through. You, as a tank player, can kind of look at Stitches here. You end up going globe build for the movement speed, trying to get those picks, but I never really saw those coming out. They weren't able to successfully use the Gorge to translate into kills very effectively.
Yeah, I think globe build is great when you're double rotating and able to pick up enough of them. As it stands, he got, a good 500 health, I think. But he only got 5% additional movement speed with those 20 globes. And paired with an Anduin, speed is never really going to be your problem after you gorge someone if you guys are doing that right, in that he is pulling you after you gorge to create that gap.
Yeah. I think kind of positioning as a team to wait for those hooks and then being right on the money ready with the Anduin root and then the Nazebo zombie wall, it would have led to a more successful strategy there. One thing I will call out as well is Tychus went something that has gained popularity recently with CCL, which is this Master Assassin at 4. Talent's been nerfed a little bit from what it used to be in kind of like the legacy HOTS where every single kill gave you a boost to your attack speed. Now you don't get the attack speed boost until an entire 15 takedowns, which means that most games it doesn't come online. And so you're really just taking it for that passive 10%, which does buff your Commandeer Odin. However, with the kind of comp that I see Smoke drafting here, I think the Stitches hook followed by the bigger they are, which would have dropped them to a third health much quicker, even though the percentage goes away when they're below a third, would have enabled the follow-up damage from the Nazebo with the spiders to just secure the kill the rest of the way. But once again, we see that kind of like reliance on we have to kill a single target versus Wholesome Halfwits deciding, let's go AoE to the max and just focus all of you at the same time.
All of you are dead. You're all dead.
Y'all dead. That could have been some a good recognition that Anduin does not is not the best when it comes to healing all of his team. So he can't handle that AoE damage necessarily the best. And so in these kind of fights and these kind of matches, I kind of want to see, and we weren't able to watch the draft, but I want to see the heal. The heal style, the heal type of the enemy team being countered by the other team's assassins, and I think that's what Wholesome Halfwits were able to pull off here, especially with ults. You saw Ring go out, you saw Hanzo's Dragon Arrow go out, and that was just enough to bring all of the enemy team's HP down kind of, successively in parallel.
What did you think about the idea? And he didn't have the benefit of them picking first, but the Anduin going the other ultimate.
Yeah.
You think that could have gotten value?
I was just thinking that. Now, the downside of that is the Deckard and the Johanna and Blaze kind of all having interrupts to the salvation. But, if you think about the order in which a lot of that CC goes out, Johanna is going to have the stun with the condemn. That's going to be used to engage normally. Blaze is going to have his dash as a stun. That's also going to be used to engage normally. Both of those are excellent setup for Jaina's root. So you kind of expect to have 2 out of 3 of those interrupts already burned by the time you want to effectively use salvation. So I think it kind of comes out. I think if Malaviel had seen the salvation, he could have been forced to hold his sleep, his stay a whiles, till after the salvation comes out, but there's a little bit of a spin up there. So that salvation may have been enough to turn those kind of group AoE burst fights into, successful turnarounds for Smoke, but unfortunately we didn't see that. And it could have come just as a surprise. Hanzo, normally you pick up Dragon Arrow, not Dragon Strike. Jaina, it's very popular to go elementals now instead of the Ring of Frost. So I think, like you said, having to have picked up ultimates first and not holding your selection to see kind of what the enemy team is going, it just resulted in maybe picking the wrong talents to match the damage.
Yeah, I think you're bang on. Even if it lasted, a couple seconds, with the amount of burst they were able to produce, that would be kind of infinitely valuable. And I think Deckard's windup is, about a second or so.
Mm-hmm.
So.
All right. So with Game 2, the win going to Wholesome Halfwits, we're looking at a Game 3, which is Braxis Holdout, once again chosen by Wholesome Halfwits. Seems like Smoke is just continually opting for that first pick. And we're going to have quite the draft to talk about this game as I load this game up with some crazy stuff coming out from both teams.
I'm not in your lobby just yet.
Okay, all right. We'll get that situated.
But from the sounds of it, we got some spice.
Whereabouts chatting and asking, do we have any idea what the draft looked like? And unfortunately, we don't. This game was casted live, so you can look at the YouTube VOD link that I think was done by Irakov.
Yep.
And they did a great job of giving all the live updates and the commentary as it happened. And unfortunately, doing the replay, we're not able to capture a lot of that. Although I do believe that so much of this, of how we see the game play out, actually, the stage is set in the draft in terms of, how are they trying to counter what the enemy team is showing at any given time. All right. So as we go into Game 2. I'm going to talk a little bit in the loading screen, since we've had a little extra time here, about what each team drafted. Wholesome Halfwits drafted a Cho'Gall. They're like, we're up 2 games. It's a best-of-5 series. We can maybe throw something crazy in here and try to get the other team off their game a little bit. They drafted a Cho'Gall along with an Ana, along with an Imperius, and a Zarya. So just kind of all in on this, let's go crazy, let's melee, let's have a great time. I'm going to pull us back over to in-game here. And I'll introduce the side of Wholesome Halfwits, and then we'll go over to Smoke. So on playing the Cho'Gall, we have Dr. C Jelly on Cho, G Money Drums on Gall. So the combination name here is Dr. Crumbs, which is pretty great as Cho'Gall names go, I will say. Ana being played by Malavial, Crooked Smile playing the Zarya, and then we do have TKS Tanksta playing the Imperius. And for Smoke,
we have Bishop Nader on Mei, Psycho on Zul, Killua on Genji, Prof Dingle on Lunara, and Zeno on Uther.
awesome. I would have loved to see how this draft went. Oh, to be a fly on this draft, on the wall of this draft.
This is a spicy one. I don't often see Zul on top of all the other craziness on this map. I'm wondering what the thought process was behind that.
He has pretty great clear. The problem is he doesn't have great 1v1 dueling until later in the game when he's able to spec into it a little bit. Especially not against Imperius. We do see a drastic clear disparity between what Zul's able to pull off and what Imperius will be able to pull off, especially before 7 when Imperius gets his a little bit of wave clear. However, with the Genji rotating up specifically and the solid root, if he's able to get Imperius low enough, which Imperius is staying really safe, which is great for them, they're going to be able to potentially get some picks. Lunara also looking up to try to get a pick here, maybe to start a camp, and they're going to take some wall damage for that all those rotates.
Yep, Lunara is an interesting character, being able to effectively solo herself. I wonder if they might make that switch at some point. If they realize the Soul is not getting it done.
Unfortunately, I think if they make that switch, they will lose all of their damage in the lane with the GNG. A lot of damage going out on Lunara and the kick coming out from Cho'Gall, so that they will try to secure that kill. 75 health for Lunara, so getting quite low. I'm a little worried. I don't believe that with the Genji they're able to secure these kills, especially with the Zarya, who's going to provide that shielding to help the Ana if the Ana is the dive target. I think Zarya is a great counter to the Genji pickup.
Yeah, especially with the damage over time from the Lunara being the primary source of whittling people down. Ana and the shields are going to do a great job of keeping people up.
Yeah. Whereabouts mentioning in the chat that Dehaka was not banned for Game 2 on towers, which is a little interesting. So, Leo and no Dehaka. I think Dehaka could have just done a better job of what the Blaze was trying for that Game 2. Those quick rotates, overloading into a 5v4, and then matching that Leo and Soak, which was kind of Wholesome Halfwit's biggest weakness that first game.
Yeah, they opted for the more team fight-oriented approach, which they've obviously identified as something they might have a leg up over Smoke on.
Yeah. Quick first objective just coming out for Wholesome Halfwits, as they have the better, team fight comp here, I would say. However, if Smoke's able to pull it off, they have the better clear for these Zerg waves, and I think that's probably why we're only going to see a front wall and a Welco go over in this first objective phase. Man, let's look at these builds for a second, because I'm really intrigued to see how they build out. The start of W build for Zul, that to me is really strange. W build will give you attack speed and much better clear on the Zerg wave, but I don't think it gives them any of that pressure on the Cho'Gall. However, they do have percentage on the shield there, so maybe that's something. Genji gets hits with the Imperius Q, a lot of damage coming out from the Lunara, but it's Cho'Gall's not chunked at all, Ana's not chunked at all, so everyone's just going to kind of stay where they are.
Yeah, I wonder if it's for the giant killer talents he gets later on his W, but that's a long way to go, and these maps, this map in particular, can really spiral out of control.
I It's been so long since I've played him. I used to play him a ton. I don't remember him getting like AA % damage on his.
Yeah,
I know he gets
think
attack speed
4%.
slows. Is 4%? Wow. All right. Well, that could be really valuable, but we'll see if with the kind of CC that you get late game. I think that's at 16 if it's there. So that's going to be countered for a level 16 mega slow on the mega stun, you know, on these orbs from Cho'Gall. So he can't auto attack when he's stunned. Cho'Gall leaves this camp while it's still uncapped. Zarya's just sitting there saying, I'm going to last for quite a while. It's enough time for Cho'Gall to get back, and then with the Uther being the only heals, Zarya is going to end up going down, but it will give the camp over to Wholesome Halfwits. Ooh, stun going out on the Genji, followed by the Protect. Enough of a disengage, it seems. Probably the best that Smoke could have hoped for in that situation is securing the kill and then not losing anyone in return.
Yeah, just looking into it, I'm totally wrong, so disregard that. Must have been thinking of a different character, but it definitely does proc more into the self-heal and the attack speed.
Yeah.
But with an Ana, that might not be the route you want to go down.
Yeah, I knew he got the heal. He gets that at level 7, so he's got that now. Maybe that'll help him a little bit in the wave against Imperius. But yeah, with a grenade, I don't think the heal's going to do much in team fights, especially since you're sitting still, swinging as fast as you can. Root goes out on the Cho'Gall. He's still holding that Q, but it's just going to reset. Stun's going to end up landing on the Zarya, who's used shield and is going to try to walk away. Ends up coming back in. There's a lot of damage being done on this Genji. He is going to end up going down in the back line. Ooh, that kick was just enough to help save Cho'Gall from getting stunned as he tries to move away. The rest of the team kind of backs up as Imperius puts a lot of damage out. Zul's trying to go to secure the Cho'Gall kill, but ends up dying instead because it's Cho'Gall. That's a hard one to knock down.
Yeah, no kidding, especially with this healing, this shielding, and all of this CC that they're able to put out.
Let's see, with the comps that were drafted here and whereabouts, once again, he's our backup informant. He said Zul and Uther were the last 2 picks after the Cho'Gall.
Interesting.
Very interesting. I could have probably seen a Kerosene getting picked up, extra % damage on the Cho'Gall or the Palm to save a dive target, or a couple other things. Wow, big pickup as the Cho'Gall dives in. He has the nano boost as well, which is going to really like boost his Twisted Nether, and along with the grav from the Zarya, that's just a lot. They are going to end up getting a return kill on the Zarya as Genji tries to put some damage on this Ana, but Zul will go down in addition to Uther for Smoke, as Smoke finally picks up level 10s as well.
Yeah, I think they might be going for a D-Blade Divine Shield, try and get that Ana out of the way. That would be my only guess as to why they went with the Uther, apart from the lockdown. But we will see. He's holding his pick right now.
I do think Snowball is potentially really good here. Cho'Gall, you get double the value hitting Cho'Gall with a Snowball. If you potentially this fights could go differently if they snowball the Cho'Gall away and then really focus on the remaining 3 and you just use it for isolation. Yeah, I don't know.
Looks like they went with Divine Storm.
Okay, Divine Storm, extra CC lockdown, but doesn't give that Genji that kind of guaranteed damage. Does Wholesome Halfwits know they're on the boss? They're going to find out just in time. He's going to get stunned out? Oh, it's going to be just enough for the boss to come out for Smoke. And then the stun on the Imperius, he's going to be able to pop up his shield. A ton of damage coming up from both teams. It's going to be Zul going down first, though, followed by the Genji, who tried to do damage on the Ana. And then the rest of the team low and just walking away, but being constantly chased by a pretty healthy Cho'Gall as things go.
Yeah, I think they felt they needed to do something drastic. They were able to pull off the sneaky boss play, but they lost a few members in the process. It does, draw the attention bottom so they could clean up some of these camps, but I think they were looking to get more out of that than they ultimately did.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, what it has done is it's taken it off the map, and they haven't lost any more structures than they already had. But, being a full level down, they're going to be down this talent tier as they go into subjective. Pretty far forward positioning from the Mei and the Genji. Cho'Gall's trying to capture on that, knows they're about to hit 13, ends up going to stun out. Grab Bomb only hits the Zul, who's swinging away for his life, but can't heal at all. Nano on the Cho'Gall is just so much damage, and the Zul's going to go down pretty quickly, all things considered. Cho'Gall doing quite an aggressive Q into the team. Tries to do damage on the Lunara, who's just going to keep hopping away. Ends up getting Twisting Nether on the Mei and the Uther. Alright, Divine Storm goes out and the Snowball. But while that disengages the fight, it doesn't really benefit them at all here.
Yep. It seems, kind of the theme of some of these games is the front line of the Wholesome Halfwits have done a great job of putting an immense amount of pressure on the team so that the backline is pretty much free to do what they want, and they haven't been able to find a way to effectively kill the front line and or dive the backline. So these fights are going pretty one-sided.
Yeah, I'm pretty surprised to see Zul engage there down to the 13 talent tier. Would much rather have seen maybe the Genji even right now when they're just hearthing top to maybe capture one of these points back. This is game 3 though, and they've lost 2, so you kind of have to account for the mental fatigue and the, it's hard losing in a couple games and trying to get your mojo back as you're going to the 3rd game. Pull goes out, ends up grabbing the Uther and the Zul. They're both going to go down. Zul has no options once he engages to walk away. He just has to stay there and swing, and this might be game number 3 for Wholesome Halfwits and a win on the series.
Yep,
GG's being called. Uther left the game. He's like, this is it. It was done. It's passed. And GG's, that is game number 3 for Wholesome Halfwits, and placing them as the winners of Div B Northeast ahead of the Div B East Grand Finals tomorrow night.
Great. Who are they facing tomorrow?
Tomorrow night, they are facing Phoenix Rising Onyx, I believe.
Okay.
Let's look at this game summary for just a second here. I feel like there's enough to talk about in just some of these, alternative picks that could have happened here. The draft sounds like it was wild because the Zul and the Uther got picked up right after the Cho'Gall as the last 2 picks, which means that with a first pick on Smoke, there was one pickup that happened right after that. Maybe that's when the Wholesome Halfwits picked up the Zarya. But I'm surprised by the Zul. I'm honestly surprised by the Uther. The team that Wholesome Halfwits has is just not a single target blow up in the traditional sense. So I'd have to think that the heals are going to have a hard time keeping up. And then with the Uther pickup, I really wanted to see, like you called earlier, I wanted to see Divine Shield and either give it to the Genji, who's going to be diving immediately back and trying to kill the Ana, which is really, I think, the only win condition for Smoke in the way the draft was set up. Or give it to the Zul, who can finally heal from his swings, and who has no other choice but to just kind of sit there in the middle of the fight and press W and pray. Pray to Uther, pray to anyone that he can live. Until someone dies. But that's not what we ended up seeing happen.
Yeah, like I said, Zul's not something we see often in general, and definitely even rarer on non-double soak maps. So I wonder what the thought process with that was, especially with Cho'Gall later in the game which we didn't get to see, getting stunning orbs. Standing in front of him is like just standing in a mosh pit half the time.
Yeah.
But not to take anything away from the performance of the Wholesome Halfwits, they in all 3 games understood their win conditions, understood what their team comp did, and effectively carried it out.
Yeah, I would agree with that completely. I think with the extra, insight whereabouts added into the draft from the chat, I think there's the way the draft orders seem to have played out. They kind of knew the fights that they wanted to have. They drafted around those. With game number 2, with the Jaina and the Hanzo, we want to be able to hold them in place for long enough for big damage from the Dragon Strike and the Jaina Blizzards to be secure. Game 1, it was, we know that they're going for a single target blow up. We can burn the tank after the tank dives and is squishy. So let's focus on that strategy completely, and let's invalidate to the best best way we can the Lucio's ability to unstoppable, like to high five his team and save them from our ability to win those games. And then game number 3. Everyone just seemed to have a great time. It was the end of the series. So just picking characters you don't see very often and just having a fun go of it. But I would say that I think the best pickup here in the draft was the Zarya, surprisingly, I think, for Wholesome Halfwits. Especially if I'm right in assuming that was a late pickup. Because really the kind of key to their entire draft, game number 3, was that Ana and healing the constant, the damage that they were able to do on any of the front line, and being focused. So
yeah, apart from having a great time, as every Cho'Gall game is, it also puts us on tape for the finals, and this is going to be something that the other team has to be thinking about. As a potential surprise pick, no one really plays Cho'Gall in regular Storm League. You see it sometimes in Quick Match, and as such, it's hard to know how to effectively counter it, especially if it's something that comes later in the draft. So I wonder if that was something they were considering, or they were just, flexing in a way. But it's definitely something, if I were the other team, that I'd be thinking about going into the finals match.
agreed. All right. Well, thank you very much. Thank you, everyone that joined us and tuned in, and thanks to all of you who go back and watch this replay afterwards and doing some scouting. Whereabouts giving us that final bit of insight, saying once again we guessed wrong. Zarya was in the 1-2 pick actually for Wholesome Halfwits, and Ana was picked up last. So, however it happened, it worked really well. Great play coming out from both teams. Great 3-series win, or 3-match win out of a best of 5 for Wholesome Halfwits as they kind of gear up for their Div B East Grand Finals tomorrow night. So we'll be excited. Yeah. It'll be cast by myself and BroomBoy, this time live. So this replay cast was good for us in terms of gearing up for that and getting our head in the game for how that's going to go. So tune back in then, and it'll be on the NGS stream, and we'll see you there. All right. Thanks, everyone.